Thank you, Adrian. Good evening once again from the Keepmoat Stadium. It is a bitterly cold evening, but a full house here as Doncaster Rovers from League Two look to cause an upset in the Emirates FA Cup fourth round. But Crystal Palace, with so many big sides already out of the competition, may be eyeing the road to Wembley with a good deal more interest now. So this is a massive night for both clubs, and it's Crystal Palace who are about to get the game underway wearing all black, defending the goal away to our left in the first half. And Courtney Sweetman-Kirk, it is great to see a Premier League team in the FA Cup at this stage against EFL opposition with such a strong team.
Yeah, it really is. They're taking it seriously, aren't they? And that isn't a dig at Liverpool, for example. There's the physicality of what they're trying to do, or were trying to do with the quad. It can't be underestimated, the toll that takes on the players. But as I say, I think it's opened up for Palace. The teams that have gone out, for me, they're safe in the Premier League. So why not give it a right good go and field a really strong team to get through to the fifth round?
Here are the teams again. For Doncaster, Sharman Lowe in goal, Sterry, Olowu, Anderson and Maxwell the back four, Broadbent and Bailey the captain holding in midfield, Molyneux, Sharp and Ennis behind Street, the former Palace youngster, in attack. The Palace team: Turner in goal, Richards, Lacroix and Gahey the back three, Munoz, Wharton, Hughes and Mitchell across midfield, with Kamada and Devaney supporting Mateta in attack. So only 3 changes for Palace from that win at Manchester United last week. 4 changes for Doncaster from their 5-2 loss against Chesterfield in League Two last Thursday. And it's Doncaster in the red and white hoops who will look to attack now with Olowu wide towards the far side and Sterry quickly down the line, and the tall angular Street is challenged by Gahey, and it will be a free kick for Doncaster given by Farai Alam, the referee, on the halfway line.
It's a really good start from Donny, and Adrian asked us, didn't he, what do you think that Donny are going to do, how they're going to start? Well, at the moment they're in possession, they're composed, but actually they high pressed Palace initially, and Ethan Ennis down that left hand side did really well. It went back to Matt Turner in goal, and everyone went, and that's important when you're doing the high press. Everyone's got to go. You can't go in ones and twos. The whole unit moved, and it ended in Ennis winning the ball back in the left hand side. So it's been really positive from Donny.
Doncaster looking to reach round 5 for the first time since 2019, when Crystal Palace knocked them out here by 2-0. Palace have gone out in the third round in 4 of the previous 5 seasons, and the only time they didn't do that was when they went to the semi-finals themselves and lost at Wembley against Chelsea. But Palace, who have a healthy following from South London at their backs away to our left, work it wide to this near side with Maxence Lacroix, and now Gahey again has time to bring it forward down the left. And of course for Crystal Palace now there is the incentive of a South London derby with Millwall in the 5th round, and it's a home tie for whoever comes through this game tonight, with extra time and penalties if necessary. On what is a blustery and really cold evening, we've had squally showers throughout the afternoon as Mateta chases a long ball forward for Palace, headed away though by Maxwell, recovered by Devaney, who is one of the youngsters who's come into the Palace team this evening, playing on this near side, their right. Doncaster briefly win it back, and it's Billy Sharp looking to close down Hughes. Kamada does well to play the ball around the corner to link up with Mateta, but in the end he's closed down, and it's back with Teddy Sharman Lowe, the youngster on loan from Chelsea, defending the Doncaster goal away to our right hand side.
It's good defending there from Donny, because when it goes into Mateta they get really tight and it's difficult. Initially he gets the flick on, but they crowd him out as well as Kamada in the middle of the park.
4 minutes played, 0-0 here on TalkSport 2 in the FA Cup 4th round at the Eco Power Stadium, what used to be known as the Keepmoat Stadium, on the outskirts of Doncaster, a ground where Courtney Sweetman-Kirk graced this turf for many years, playing for Doncaster Bells, and you were saying, with your typical understatement, you scored loads of goals here.
Yeah, I mean, they weren't very good. They were mostly from about 6 yards out, but they all count.
Look, they're in the paper. There's no such thing as a bad goal. Now Wharton looking to build up his fitness once again following that long-term groin injury for Crystal Palace, which has really stalled his progress. But of course he's still only 20 years of age, and he's a player who was developed in the EFL at Blackburn Rovers, played so much football before he left his teens. As Gahey has to go back again towards Lacroix as the rain starts to sweep down again here. And the pitch is looking rather mottled in places as it's quickly played forward by Tom Anderson, cutting out for Doncaster on the halfway line, all the way through towards Matt Turner, the American international, defending the goal away to our left.
It's a good play again from Anderson. I'm just watching him. He's not giving Mateta a moment's rest at the moment, and as that ball comes forward, he does really well to step in, win it. But you've just got to be careful that you don't get caught as you're stepping out. But so far, he's been really good, Anderson.
Broadbent did well to win it back for Doncaster on this near side, cutting out the ball forward from Richards. But here is Wharton again now for Palace, wide to this near side, looking for Kamada, and there's a missed kick by Bailey, and Kamada could be in down the right hand side, cuts it back, but Bailey does well to lunge in and make the challenge. But Palace still have it again with Devaney looking to work the space for a crossing opportunity. Munoz now has the ball again down the Palace right, and now Wharton clips it back over the top looking for Kamada, who may have been offside, but Doncaster clear anyway. And here is Gahey wide towards Mitchell, and on again to the blonde-haired Hughes. Hughes though is tackled by Alowu, and it will be a throw-in for Crystal Palace by the corner flag on the far side.
How well does Owen Bailey do there? I mean, initially it is his fault. He goes to clear the ball, makes a hash of it, but the recovery run and the block was excellent.
And then the ball played forward towards Mitchell on the far side, who I think was looking for the free kick, but the ball has ballooned into the crowd, and it will be a throw-in for Crystal Palace. And Chris Richards, the American international, has gone across to take the risk. There is plenty of room around the pitch here at the Eco Power Stadium, so if Richards wants to hurl this long into the area, he does have quite a run up with the orange ball in towards that near post. It's looped in onto the head of Alowu. Richards does well to recover, heads it back into the penalty area where it's blocked by Sterry, and Richards can try again here. And it seemed to be a bit of a looper there, but he got real distance on it.
Yeah, he did, and you see he's trying to dry the ball in his shirt. No more Rory Delap where he had the towels placed around the pitch.
Richards again in towards that near post area, this time headed away by Anderson, and Richards will try for a third time here with 7 minutes played on TalkSport 2. Doncaster Rovers 0, Crystal Palace 0, and at the moment we are watching the long throw expertise of Chris Richards, and we're getting a third view now in towards again the near post area. Doncaster once again win the first ball, and the big boot up towards the halfway line from Sterry. Quickly returned though by Munoz first time. But here is Hughes now for Palace, and they've got plenty forward. High in towards Matassa. Fisted away though by Sharman Lowe, who clattered into a teammate as he got there just in time. It was Anderson, and Anderson is quickly back to his feet.
Yeah, I love that from the goalkeeper though, and you always hear it, don't you? If you come in to get the ball, take everything else with it. Doesn't matter if it's your own teammate. Absolutely clears Anderson out there, but it's a really good goalkeeping.
And now Hughes again plays it square wide to the far side, and Palace controlling possession here at the moment. Conditions are not easy, with a strong wind blowing across the pitch and rain again in their faces, as Hughes this time is challenged by Alowu, and Farai Halam, the referee, is given the free kick.
Yeah, and Hughes does well there. I think he's clever, uses his experience. You see he goes down, low centre of gravity, sticks his backside out to protect the ball, and then he's waiting for the contact to come through the back. It certainly was a free kick in my opinion.
I think Palace may have the wind in their favour at the moment, but it's swirling around this stadium, and it's quite an open ground. It's a small intimate arena, just a single tiered stand all the way round, but There's not too much around this ground to try and halt the elements as Hughes sizes up the free kick here with Kamada. Richards is forward, along with Gahey. And it's clipped in by Hughes towards the far post, and it's flicked on by Gahey. And in the end, the flag has gone up for offside, and you can hear the cheers of relief there from the Doncaster fans, because they get the free kick, and a spell of heavy Palace pressure comes to an end with nearly 10 minutes played, and it's still 0-0.
Yeah, and I think Gahey and Lacroix are actually getting each other's way there. It seemed to be a decent ball in a good area. Now, whether Lacroix was offside as well, we'll never know, but it's a bit of a warning, isn't it, for Donny?
And Crystal Palace, of course, have been so good away from home in the Premier League. They've won their last 3 games at Leicester, West Ham and Manchester United, all by 2-0. But they've only had 1 win in 7 at Selhurst Park, and that came against the bottom club Southampton. But 5 wins and 3 draws on the road since they last lost away from home, which is strange really, because when you think of Selhurst Park, you think of it being a bit of a fortress, and Palace doing well there.
Yeah, but I think maybe when you look at the makeup of the team as well, they're built at times to play on the counter-attack because of the wing-backs, and that lends itself to away from home. I think with wing-backs, when you may be not in the top echelons of the Premier League, to impose yourself, it's difficult at home.
Maxwell coming forward now, finding Molyneux, the deflected cross gathered by Sharp, and the shot clipped into the penalty area in the end from Ennis, and it may have taken the deflection, but it was into the arms of Matt Turner. But the first really enterprising play we've seen from the League 2 team.
Yeah, you just hear the noise level raise inside the stadium, everyone getting a little bit excited, and rightly so. And Billy Sharp does well there. He's not got the same stature as Mateta, but still he's very clever, and he always has been with how he uses his body, and he backs into the defender, sets it off on one touch, and it's a shame, takes a bit of a deflection, takes the power off the shot, so it's easier for Matt Turner.
And Billy Sharp was 39 last Wednesday. He's exactly a year younger than Cristiano Ronaldo, and he was saying in the build-up to this game that Ronaldo's longevity, he scored in his first game as a 40-year-old in the Saudi Pro League last Friday. He's got a target of 300 career goals himself now, Billy Sharp, and he scored at Palace in the Championship back in 2009.
It's incredible, isn't it? And it's the willingness, the game's the easy bit, that's the fun bit, but the willingness to still do the right things day in, day out, the training, the nutrition, the recovery, and that's the only way you get to be playing at 39, by the way, by being a really good professional.
Molyneux finding Bailey, now Sterry down the right-hand side, but the ball in field was a poor one, and Palace can bring the ball clear. Devaney does well to step in before Broadbent, forward towards Mateta. Mateta can spin and play it wide to this near side, and Munoz now just having to stop, and it's a low ball back towards Mateta on the edge of the penalty area. Now Wharton finding Will Hughes with a block challenge on the edge of the penalty area. It spins high up in the air off him and loops behind for a goal kick. 12 minutes played here on TalkSport 2, and it's still goalless, but Doncaster feeling their way into this cup tie.
Yeah, I'm just watching Adam Wharton in the middle of the pitch, and I love it from him. As you say, he's one of the youngest players in this Palace side, but the way he's directing everyone, he's not happy with something that's just happened, and he's not shrinking. He's conducting that midfield, and to do that at his age is absolutely brilliant.
And Palace have not lost against a team in the 4th tier or lower since a 2-1 loss at Hartlepool back in 1978. They've had 11 ties since, and they've won them all. Of course, they beat lower league opposition in the previous round at home, a 1-0 success against Stockport. Molyneux coming forward now for Doncaster down the right, clips the high cross into the penalty area. Rising is Richards to clear at the near post, and it's hammered away to safety by Mitchell. Alowu heads it back over the top, and it ricochets off Kamada, out of play on the far side for a throw into Doncaster.
I like that piece of play though. I think it was Owen Bailey initially that plays that ball down the right hand side. Luke Molyneux was already on his bike, and that's where you can catch Palace on the transition, because they do play wing backs. If you can get in behind them, it's somewhere that it can be exploited.
And they've got 2 players, Munoz and Mitchell, who will always try and get forward, and now the flag's up for offside against Rob Street, and it will be a free kick for Crystal Palace midway inside their own half. If you've just joined us on TalkSport 2 and missed the draw for the 5th round, Preston have a Lancashire derby at home to Burnley, Aston Villa at home to Cardiff, Newcastle will play Brighton. Fulham go to Old Trafford to meet Manchester United. Bournemouth against Wolves. The winners of this game will be at home to Millwall. Manchester City will play Plymouth. And Exeter or Forest, who meet live on TalkSport 2 tomorrow night, they will be at home to Ipswich. So more Premier League teams are guaranteed to go out, whatever happens. And it's opening up for somebody to go all the way to Wembley.
Yeah, exactly. And that's why we love the FA Cup, because it brings up these moments, the opportunities for lower league opposition to pit themselves against the best sides to potentially go and play at Wembley. And as you say, because of the way the draws happened, it really is opening itself up.
Ian Danta and Scott Minto will be down in Devon tomorrow. As Palace come forward now with Devaney, his low cross into the penalty area, deflects behind off Broadbent, and the Premier League team have the game's first corner with 15 minutes played. It's
a great run by Devaney. Actually starts a little bit centrally, darts out. It's that into-out run. It's a player that I really like. I actually watched his debut at Selhurst this season, and that was when they were really in the midst of that injury crisis. Sort of had no choice to play him, but he is a very good player.
Already has a Premier League goal at Aston Villa, and also a full Northern Ireland international. Will Hughes will take the corner kick on this near side with 16 minutes played. An in-swinger, Sharman Lowe comes and claims well. Plenty of big men forward there for Palace, but Sharman Lowe always had control of that situation.
He's been really good so far, the goalkeeper. The way that he's come and commanded his area that time, again coming through bodies, but big, strong, collects it, and good ball upfield as well.
Street does well to win the header on the edge of the area, but Ennis was a bit lightweight in the challenge with Mitchell, and Wharton will bring it clear for Palace. Devaney with a very clever dummy allows it to run, but Munoz can't play the return ball back to him, and as a result Doncaster will try and build, but Ennis again beaten to it this time by Lacroix, who has the opportunity to come forward out of the back three. And of course they do have that flexibility to allow players to join in midfield, and Lacroix is doing that again here. Now Richards and Doncaster pull everybody back behind the ball in this sort of situation. Billy Sharp is the furthest player forward, about 15 yards inside their own half, so they're looking to contain and they're looking to stay in the game for as long as possible. They may get a free kick here because Munoz with an accidental challenge on Ennis, who actually rolls into the Doncaster technical area on this near side. Grant McCann just checking on him. Munoz apologises. There was no malice in the challenge, but he did catch the youngster, and it will be a free kick for Doncaster.
Yeah, and you see as soon as he goes down, Ennis is really struggling. It's a genuine reaction, and as you say, there's no malice in the tackle from Munoz. I don't know whether he sort of catches the back of his Achilles, which can be a really painful one. And you see he's really struggling.
Ethan Ennis on loan from Manchester United, made his debut in the third round at Hull. Doncaster have had 3 away ties to get to this stage. They won 1-0 at Barrow, 2-1 at Kettering when they came from behind against the non-league team. Billy Sharp scoring twice, including the winner in extra time, and then they won on penalties at Hull after Luke Molyneux had given them the lead against the Championship side. And they've not beaten top flight opposition since Queen's Park Rangers at the old Bellevue ground, and that was in 1985. And they've had 1 or 2 opportunities since, most recently that game against Crystal Palace back in 2019. Dennis is continuing to receive treatment. Technically he's off the field here, so play could continue, but the referee is just delaying and giving Ennis the opportunity to come back onto the field, and he's gently been lifted back to his feet by the physio, and he'll be back on very soon. And Doncaster do have this free kick here.
Yeah, it's all taken in good faith as well, I suppose. If it's towards the end of the game and Palace are pushing to try and find an equaliser or a winner, they won't be quite as gracious. But I like that from the referee, a bit of common sense.
Free kick from Maxwell, swirled high towards the penalty area. Sharp does well to nod the ball in field after just giving Richards a nudge. Palace though clear. Here is Mateta in the centre circle. He's got the ball down looking to drive beyond Olowu, wide towards the left-hand side. Mitchell in support. Mitchell, though, had to track his run and then check it because Mateta didn't give him the ball in time, and when he did give him the ball, it runs out of play for a goal kick.
Well, it's maybe summed up Palace a little bit, actually. They're sort of playing out from the back, middle of the park. Mateta dropping in, or the midfield getting onto the ball. They've done quite well, but in the final third, they've not been clinical enough. And in terms of looking at it at the moment, 20 minutes gone, I think Donny will be really happy.
Yep, 0-0. And they've had the one shot on target so far in the game. So we have Exeter against Forest here on TalkSport 2 tomorrow night. Over on TalkSport, what a game. Manchester City against Real Madrid, the knockout phase playoff start in the Champions League tomorrow night. And one of those clubs won't be making it to the round of 16. Adrian Durham, Jim Proudfoot and Troy Deeney will be your commentary team at the Etihad Stadium. Then on Wednesday night, TalkSport, the only place on national radio to hear the final Merseyside derby at Goodison Park, with Sam and Stuart Pearce and Sheffield United against Middlesbrough. Another big game from the Championship. We'll be here on TalkSport 2 with Jim Proudfoot and Dean Ashton. Doncaster have a free kick here on the far side. Broadbent with a low one in towards the near post. Volley cleared by Mitchell. Broadbent again, plays it wide towards the far side, and Molyneux's got the opportunity to try and go beyond Mitchell on the ground. He just checks back, may need support, and he finds it from Broadbent a third time in this move. The cross driven in, taken down by Ennis on the edge of the penalty area, but he used his hand, and it will be a free kick.
I think the initial free kick is something that Grant McCann down there won't be happy with. These are big opportunities, set pieces, and Doncaster get them, and to waste it like that and not even beat the first man, it's a cardinal sin when you're the set piece taker.
Played wide towards Gahey again. Now Kamada, Mateta infield towards Kamada. Munoz again is forward, the Colombian, on this near side, and Maxwell always looking for help, and he gets it from Ennis, but Ennis has been played out of the game here by Richards. Ball to pick out Wharton, and now Devaney wide towards Mitchell on the far side. The ball just bobbling across the playing surface, but Mitchell's got support from Gahey. Gahey having to twist and turn himself to deliver the cross, in which he does, but when he eventually does, it's an unmarked header away for Anderson. Mateta hooks it back towards the edge of the penalty area. Now Munoz takes over, trying to drive his way through the traffic. Street comes in to make the challenge. He goes down, he wants the free kick, doesn't get it, and eventually Olowu will clear, and Doncaster will try and break with Ennis over the halfway line. And it was interesting there, Courtney, when they played that cross in eventually, one Palace player inside the area.
Yeah, exactly, and they've got to be better at that. I think there's a lot of work trying to go on in the build-up, and there's sort of that dynamic movement, but actually what's the point in doing all that if there's nobody in the box? So they've got to get that balance right of players in front and behind of the ball.
Cleared away on this near side by Maxwell into the body of Munoz, and the final touch was off the Colombian, and it will be a throw into Doncaster. But when you look at the makeup of the Palace team, Courtney, I'm not sure who are the players to maybe break from midfield, because if you're playing with the wing backs, you're sacrificing two midfield players perhaps.
Yeah, exactly, and that's where then you've got to potentially take the chance on the double pivot. So you're looking at Wharton and Hughes, and one of them has got to join in. But actually, what Donny are doing really well is at times that they're leaving three up, so they're being brave, because normally that's what Palace would do. If it's one or two up, then they release the other wing back and maybe let them come into midfield and add to the attack. But because Donny are being brave and leaving players up, they can't afford to be 3v3 at the back. So it means that Tyrick Mitchell on that left hand side keeps dropping back in.
Now Ennis back towards Broadbent. The high ball from him rather gets caught in the wind, and Sharp beaten to it by Richards. Richards with a good ball forward. Devaney on the half turn back towards Munoz. And it's a couple of times now we've seen Billy Sharp get the better of Chris Richards, who's maybe getting a crash course in lower division centre forwards here, as the barrel-chested Sharp again tangles with Richards on the halfway line, but it breaks Palace's way, and Munoz goes back towards Lacroix again. And I wouldn't say that Sharp is bullying Richards, but he's just giving him that bit of a nudge, and he's just letting him know he's there as Kamada looks to chase a long ball forward down the centre, and it's gathered by Sharman Lowe. You're listening to Doncaster against Crystal Palace in the FA Cup on TalkSport 2 with Carling, the official beer partner of the Emirates FA Cup. 18 plus, please drink responsibly.
You mentioned Billy Sharp, and you're right, he's using every single bit of that 39 years of experience, but I think he's always been clever with that, because he's not got the biggest stature, he's not that 6 foot centre forward, so he's always had to be a little bit economical with what he does, and be really clever with his movement and how he uses his body, and we're seeing it here.
Molyneux does well to ride a challenge, almost links with Sharp, but Bailey will try and work it wide towards the right hand side, but Mitchell wins it back for Palace, comes in field and finds Hughes, and now Kamada's got the opportunity to turn. Devaney is ahead of him along with Mateta, but it's Munoz now down the left in towards Kamada on the edge of the penalty area, but he throws up a gloved hand in disappointment because the cross never finds him, nodded away by Broadbent, and now Sterry on the far side, turning into trouble in the shape of Mitchell, but back towards Sharman Lowe, who hammers the ball long downfield again, up to the halfway line. And we heard from Lee Phelps before kick-off that Doncaster are susceptible to conceding goals, and Sharman Lowe with only 7 clean sheets in 30 games in League 2 this season. Doncaster currently third in the table. They were overtaken by Notts County at the weekend as Mateta chases on the far side. Olowu is able to clear the ball away. They had a 4-match winning streak, Doncaster, then they were absolutely hammered at Chesterfield on Thursday, another stadium where you graced the turf.
Yes, another one. That's what happens when you have loads of clubs and you get to my age. There's quite a few stadiums that you've played at. It's at Wickham the other day as well. Reading used to play there, and it was nice to go back.
But it is very competitive at the top of League 2 this season. Some clubs who are well backed, not quite to the extent of Wrexham or Stockport from last season, but some big clubs nonetheless. Walsall have been chased down since Nathan Lowe's return to Stoke City following his loan spell. Notts County currently leading that chase, with Doncaster not too far behind, as Sterry does well to shepherd the ball behind on the far side under pressure from Mitchell, and it will be a goal kick. 27 minutes played, Courtney, 0-0, and I think Grant McCann will be pretty happy.
Yeah, he'll be delighted, because I can't remember Sharman Lowe having a save of note to make. There's a couple of times that he's come in, either punched the ball, that's the one where he took Anderson out, his own player, or with the corner when he's come in collected, but in terms of having a proper save to make, I can't remember one.
Sharman Lowe with the clearance. We heard a chant of Eagles from the Palace supporters huddled together for warmth behind the goal away to our left. Now Maxwell with a long ball forward, looking for Sharp, and it's into the arms of Matt Turner. Dean Henderson, of course, is the number 1. He is on the bench along with Remy Matthews this evening, 2 goalkeepers for Crystal Palace, so everybody gets a place on the bench these days. Who knows, if it goes to penalties we might see a change. Now Devaney down the line looking for Munoz, cleared away though by Maxwell. Olowu, and here is Anderson though with the back pass to Sharman Lowe. Anderson makes himself available to play the ball out, and then jabs a dangerous ball up towards the edge of the penalty area. Broadbent then gives a back pass to Sharman Lowe, which I don't think he appreciated, so as a result he hammers it straight out of play. Yeah,
and I actually don't mind that from the goalkeeper. I mean, how many times now do you see teams playing out from the back and a goalkeeper trying to deal with a dodgy ball back to them and causing themselves more issues? So if you need to, just get rid of it. There's nothing wrong with that.
Maxwell heads it forward now for Doncaster, but Palace quickly repel it. But Molyneux finding Sharp down the centre, looking for Ennis, who just for a moment seemed to have the better of Gahey, but Gahey recovered, and Lacroix can bring it forward now for Palace. Slid down the line left hand side, looking for Mateta though losing out to Olowu. Bailey with the ball forward, but he was challenged, and now Hughes will find Kamada again. He goes down under the challenge of Anderson on the edge of the penalty area, and it will be a free kick for Crystal Palace here. Left of centre, but in a decent position with nearly half an hour played.
Yeah, this is a really good opportunity. As you say, it's just left of centre. It's not too far out as well, and it's the sort of area that gives you options. It's far enough out so it gets up and over the wall. You can go for a direct shot, or it's one of those where you can try and chip it to the back post area, try and get that headed back across and cause some chaos.
Well, Hughes, who does have 3 assists so far this season, is over the free kick. And once again, Lacroix is forward with Richards, and Gahey is also looking to cause some problems, just lingering on the edge of the Doncaster wall. There could be an opportunity here for Hughes to maybe whip this ball around the wall on the short side and try and catch out Sharman low at the near post. But it's Kamada who plays it in low to Mateta, who strikes it, and it's loose inside the area and guided in by Munoz. And Crystal Palace have the lead. It was a very clever set piece. The initial shot was repelled, but the ball fell kindly for the Premier League team, and it was a tap-in the end for Daniel Munoz, and it's the Colombian who has put Crystal Palace on course for round 5.
Oh, this is a really well-worked set piece and fooled most of us in the ground, I think, including myself, and thought that it was going to be a shot. It wasn't. It's a clever little ball into the bodies. Well, Donny are asking for an offside. Hits the post, actually, doesn't it? Mateta initially comes back out. I'm just looking to my right hand side to the big screen, and it does look like Munoz is onside. They're asking, of course you would if you're Donny, but I think that's the right decision, and the assistant keeps his flag down.
Well, there's no doubt Mateta was onside when he received that ball from the free kick. His shot on the turn pinged back off the post, and then I think it took another deflection. Then it came back to Munoz, who could walk the ball into an empty net.
And I suppose it will just be the question mark. Munoz, to me, looked onside when the shot was taken. Obviously, as you mentioned, comes back off the post. It's just that deflection on the way through. Does it come off a Donny player? Does it come off a Palace one? But either way, you know, we've seen it this round. No VAR. There's been some really good decisions. There's been some poor ones. But all we do know is Palace are 1-up.
Well, I think it would have been a difficult one for Blake Antrobus, the assistant on this near side, because it happened so quickly and there were so many bodies between himself and the ball. As Devaney comes forward now, finding Munoz with the opportunity to attack. Back towards Devaney inside the penalty area. He tried to hit it first time left-footed, and in the end the ball skews off the outside of his left boot, out for a throw-in. Yeah,
initially first touch is good, and then it bounces up. Perfect to hit on the volley. He gets underneath it when he's trying to hit across it, and as you say, it sort of bounces across the byline and out for a throw-in, and that's one that he won't want to see again.
Well, we've got the prospect now of Palace against Millwall in the 5th round. So the pride of East London will be at stake there. Not too many London teams left in the competition, of course. Fulham, of course, are still in there. And then it's Millwall, and of course one of them will be going out if Palace do go through. As Richards plays it back towards Lacroix, and Doncaster will be disappointed to have conceded to a set piece, although they were caught out by the initial shot from Mateta. And now Devaney, a high ball in again. Mitchell looking to nod the ball down to Mateta. It's cleared initially. Hughes, Palace have a firm grip on this game at the moment. 33 minutes played on TalkSport 2. Doncaster Rovers 0, Crystal Palace 1. And Palace now playing some decent football in the strong winds and driving rain here in South Yorkshire. Hughes, now Mateta again, on towards Wharton. Munoz, it's a bit narrow. He tries to work the 1-2 with Wharton, and in the end Maxwell will win the ball back and clear for Doncaster. Billy Sharp receives midway inside his own half. It's laid back towards Broadbent, who clears it long downfield. Richards gets there before Ennis, but now Maxwell can play it forward to Sharp inside the Palace half, and Sharp leaves something there on Lacroix, who I think makes quite a bit of it, but there was contact.
Yeah, he makes a complete meal of it. to be fair, it's a cold night, and when you do get caught, especially when it's cold like this, it does seem to hurt that little bit more, but there's no malice in it. It's just a little bit late, Billy Sharp.
And Parai Hallam, the referee, saw it. I don't think there was even a word for Billy Sharp. And it's a free kick. And Lacroix did almost do a triple salco as he hit the turf, but maybe that didn't help his case as Gahey plays it wide to the far side. Kamada. And you can always guarantee that Billy Sharp will always make his presence felt, but at the moment he's doing much of his work inside his own half, and that's the problem Doncaster have. But now Maxwell does play it forward. It's controlled by Lacroix again, and Sharp was quickly at him, and then Lacroix trying to clear, slices the ball high in the air, and Sharp will try and shepherd the ball out of play, and that's what he does. And Doncaster have a throw in here 5 yards from the corner flag.
Yeah, and it's much the amusement of the Doncaster fans in here. Not happy with Lacroix. Felt it was that dive was a bit dramatic, and they're letting him know.
Molyneux tries to jink his way towards the byline, but Palace have won it back, and here is Hughes. And now Richards again. A high ball down the line, looking for Mateta. Anderson will just stoop in to head the ball clear, and then does well to find Street, who hooks it over his shoulder, looking for Sharp. But he's beaten to it in the air by Hughes, and at the moment Doncaster are finding it very difficult to cross the halfway line.
And that's the thing in the occasion, and then when they do win the ball back, they're so deep in their own territory that it's such a long way then towards the Palace goal.
Kamada now hits a shot, and it bounces just in front of Sharman Lowe, who did well to gather.
Yeah, he did, and I actually don't mind that from Kamada, especially on a night like this. The pitch isn't necessarily the best. The rain's teeming down, and you never know, sometimes they skip up off the turf in fortuitous, but again, Sharman Lowe does really well, gets behind it, watches it all the way, and could have been a difficult one the way it bounces just before him.
And one goal's enough for Palace in the previous round, as Ennis does well to block a clearance there on this near side. Street will try and take on Richards, and the final touch was off the American, and out of very little, Doncaster have a corner kick.
I think they might be a bit fortunate. I thought there was potentially a handball in the build-up to that by Ethan Ennis, but gets away with it.
Molyneux is over the corner on this near side. Ennis is the option to play it short. Palace have brought every single black shirt back inside the area, and Teddy Sharman Lowe is the only player currently inside the Doncaster half. Molyneux with the corner, which is very deep, and in the end Turner has got a free kick. He came through plenty of traffic to try and fist that ball clear when the referee saw something he didn't appreciate.
Yeah, even before that though, before the whistle went, I think Turner does well, because as you say, he's being crowded out, coming through lots of bodies, but gets a good contact on the ball.
And Matt Turner, who of course is on loan from Nottingham Forest, will take the free kick. Eberechieze scored the goal in the previous round. He's not involved this evening, along with Ismail Assar and Eddie Nketiah, who are not in the matchday squad. Romanese, the player who was recently signed from Millwall, is on the bench, and there could be a big day coming up for him in round 5. He's one of the standout players from the Championship this season in terms of young talent, moving on once again to the Premier League, as it's brought forward now by Molyneux. Good run down the left, the low ball into the penalty area, deflects into the path of Street, onto Sharp. Sharp with a shot on the turn, but had no real power in the end, and it's claimed by Turner.
And he does well, Billy Sharp, doesn't he? But as you say, that shot towards goal hasn't got the power. He's bobbling through initially, through bodies as well, so I think Matt Turner did have to scamper a little bit more quick than I expected due to the lack of power on the shot, but he gets there in the end.
That really is the game plan, I think, for Doncaster. Rob Street with a knockdown and Billy Sharp on the turn, because you don't often see big man, little man combinations in attack these days, but we've got one here tonight.
Yeah, exactly. We don't see it very often, but it will work on the counter-attack if they can get the right sort of balls into those forward players.
Now Lacroix on the halfway line. Over the top again, looking for Mitchell, but Sharman Lowe comes out towards the edge of his penalty area to claim for Doncaster Rovers. 5.5 minutes to play in the first half here on TalkSport 2. Doncaster 0, Palace 1. Daniel Munoz with the only goal so far.
I see Palace are getting a little bit more confident now. We're mentioning Tyrick Mitchell a little bit more. They're happy that Palace back three to release him, as well as Munoz at the same time, and just getting a few more bodies forward now. They've got that cushion of the goal.
And it's a good season for Palace to really have a good go at the FA Cup. They're 13 points from both the top four and the relegation zone. The reality is they won't be in either at the end of the season, so why not? And I think that's been reflected in the team picked here by Oliver Glasner tonight.
Yeah, exactly. In terms of what they're playing for in the Premier League, for me, they're very safe. So coming here, trying to get a day out at Wembley. And it's not just about obviously the silverware, but it's the day out for the fans and what it means to them as well. So yeah, why not give it a good go?
And this is a team which began the campaign with 3 points in 8 games in the Premier League. Injuries played their part, and there is a Palace player down. I think it might be Mark Gahey, who is down on the far side just off the pitch, so he may require some treatment. 1 or 2 Palace players are also having words with the referee as well, but Farai Halam is waving them away.
It's been good, to be fair. The referee has tried to keep it flowing as much as possible, and he's been consistent so far.
Oliver Glasner won the Austrian Cup twice as a player, and of course his biggest achievement as a coach so far, the Europa League with Eintracht Frankfurt. They had a really good team when they beat Rangers in the final in Seville a few years ago. Now Molineux for Doncaster, looking to respond just before half-time here. 1 or 2 fans around us beginning to head downstairs, I would say, to the warmth of the concourse, but it's actually colder down there than it is out here, as it's cleared away by Lacroix. But it's a missed kick, and now Bailey wide towards Maxwell for Doncaster, down their left. Broadbent will take over, but Doncaster once again are finding it difficult to create any real opportunities, but Sterry has found a channel of opportunity on the right hand side, but then he's given the ball away. He'll have to get back now because Gahey's bringing the ball forward for Palace, but Sterry does well to put on the afterburners, get back into position, and as a result Palace go back to the halfway line. Yeah,
he does really well, because I just worried there for a moment for Doncaster when you get caught in the transition like that, but Sterry working really hard to force Palace back.
And this time last year Doncaster were 22nd, 3 places off the bottom of the Football League, and there were 1 or 2 grumbles about Grant McCann's position. Then they won 10 in a row as Sharman Lowe comes outside his penalty area to clear. Munoz clips it back towards an empty goal from the wide area, doesn't really get the distance, and then a foul is given for a nudge on the Lowu on the edge of the box, and it will be a free kick, but that was a nervy moment for the Doncaster goalkeeper.
Yeah, it was a lack of communication between the goalkeeper and his defender, and Munoz, you see exactly what he's trying to do, hit it first time, and he gets the right trajectory on the ball. We were right behind it, but in terms of the power, it was nowhere near it. It was looped up in the air more so than towards goal, and they get away with one there, Donny.
Inside the final 2 minutes of the first half here, Palace leading by a goal to 0. And Oliver Glasner will want the second goal as quickly as possible here, and his team will be aware that Doncaster do have goal scorers in their side. And now Molineux finding Maxwell. Maxwell losing out though. Good challenge by Hughes, but in turn Bailey wins it back for Doncaster. He can drive forward, plays it wide to Sterry on the right. Molineux comes in field towards the edge of the penalty. Left foot shot from him is just wide, and Luke Molineux inches away from the equaliser, close to half time.
Oh, it was so close, wasn't it? There's quite a few of the fans around us on their feet. They thought that it had crept in, but just watching Grant McCann below as he's applauding the effort. Really good play by Molineux, coming inside and leashing a ferocious shot that looked headed for that bottom right hand corner as we look at the goal. And Matt Turner threw himself to his left, but got his angles right. It certainly wasn't far away at all.
Just swinging away from goal in the end for Molineux, maybe a yard wide. I think Turner had it covered. This is played forward again by Alowu. Street, who's worked hard with often little support, and he won it back from Wharton there, but then he was penalised for a challenge on Richards, and that's been the issue for Street. When he's had the ball, there's often been two Palace players around him all the time.
Yeah, it's one of those where it's a compliment in a way, because they're trying to stop him at source, but obviously when you're playing in that role, it's so frustrating, and he feels like he can't catch a break, and you can see that in his reactions, giving away the free kick.
We're into a minimum of 2 added minutes here at the end of the first half. Palace looking for the second goal here, and it's crucial for Doncaster Rovers here that they don't concede from this free kick so close to half time. They're always in the game a goal down. If it's 2-0, you would imagine it becomes almost insurmountable. Kamada with the free kick, and it's straight into the arms of Sharman Lowe. He quickly bowls it out to Maxwell on the left hand side. Molineux makes the run down the left. He will gather now, and he can try and take on Hughes. Hughes just holding him up, shows him the inside. Molineux takes that route, and in the end he's been robbed by Mitchell. And here is Mateta quickly away for Palace down the right beyond Anderson. Anderson just gives him a nudge as Mateta tried to go round him. It's cleared away only as far as Hughes. Appeals for handball mainly from the crowd, and now Palace have it midway inside the Doncaster half. Wharton wide towards Gahey, and here is Mitchell again, and we have 50 seconds of added time to go at the end of the first half here on TalkSport 2, with Palace a goal up. Richards coming forward now. Munoz appeals for offside, but no flag, but there may be a free kick here because Street has caught Munoz, and it's a free kick. Much better than a corner here for Crystal Palace down their right.
I think he's very, very lucky if he only gets a talking to here. Just giving away a free kick, we mentioned him just before, and that one was very late, nowhere near the ball, and on its own for me should probably be a caution. He's gotten away with that, and I don't know how.
Just a word from the referee for Rob Street, who was another loanee in this team, on loan from Lincoln. As we said earlier on, he's someone who came through the academy at Palace but didn't really get anywhere near the first team. Kamada with the free kick here, and it's crucial for Doncaster. They stand firm so close to half time. We've gone beyond the 2 added minutes. This will be the final action of the first half. Doncaster pulled everybody back. Kamada's free kick into a whole group of players. It's loose inside the area. In the end, it's scrambled clear. Palace, I think, were appealing for a penalty kick, but the half-time whistle has gone, and there's some relief there for Doncaster. They've got to half-time, only a goal down. The goal from Daniel Munoz, the wing-back, scrambling home after a shot from Jean-Philippe Mateta had come back off the post. Doncaster arguably have had more clear-cut opportunities. Billy Sharp with a miss-hit shot into the arms of Matt Turner, who also gathered a shot from Ethan Ennis in the early stages, and Luke Molineux shooting just wide. But at the moment, Crystal Palace will be playing Millwall in the 5th round unless Doncaster Rovers can produce the upset in the second half or maybe beyond. Half-time, Doncaster Rovers 0, Crystal Palace 1. Thank you, Adrian. Double change for Doncaster as well. Ethan Ennis has been replaced by Jack Senior. He will take his place on the left-hand side. And Rob Street has also gone off, and Jordan Gibson will come on to replace him. So a new partner up front for Billy Sharp in the second half. But it's significant for Palace that Ben Chilwell will be getting 45 minutes here, playing on the left-hand side and playing as a left wing-back as well, which would really suit him. The Doncaster team now is Sharman Lowe in goal, Sterry, Alowu, Anderson and Maxwell. Molineux and Senior in the wide areas. Broadbent and Bailey holding in midfield, with Sharp now behind Gibson in attack. And the Palace team is Turner in goal, Richards, Lacroix and Gahey the back three. Munoz, Wharton, Hughes and Chilwell across midfield, with Kamada and Devaney supporting Mateta in attack. First touch for Chilwell in a Palace shirt. Back towards Gahey, who clears it forward, but Doncaster quickly win it back on the halfway line in red and white hoops, attacking the goal away to our right in the second half, and it's not got any warmer during half-time, Courtney.
No, it's certainly not. I've had to turn the heated gilet on.
You can tell you're a footballer or an ex-footballer. You lot seem to specialise in heated gilets. You and Sam Matterface, of course.
Yeah, any heated paraphernalia, I'm all for it. I've always hated the cold and always will, I think.
Yeah, it's a night for hand warmers or anything else here at the Eco Power Stadium. Molineux plays it back towards Bailey, and then the 1-2 with Bailey again. It's good football. Quickly forward towards Jordan Gibson, the former Carlisle player. Does have 4 goals this season, but only 1 since October. Palace leading by a goal to nil, heading through to a 5th round tie, a South East London derby with Millwall as it stands.
Just to mention as well, Ethan Ennis, by the way, going off, makes me think, I don't think he quite recovered from that challenge early on in the first half from Munoz. Albeit there was no malice in it, I could see how much he was in pain, and he never really looked the same after that.
And that's a good point, and Rob Street put himself about maybe a bit too much at times.
Yeah, that's the thing, there's that fine line, isn't there, especially when the adrenaline's pumping. So I think maybe, in albeit different ways, maybe a couple of enforced changes for Grant McCann.
And it does seem that Billy Sharp is now playing as the focal point, with Gibson just off him, as Molineux now in the centre circle had Sterry in acres of room to the right, but didn't really get his head up, and it's wide to the left. Gibson losing out on the far side to Munoz, who loops it in field for Wharton. Wharton quickly on again to Devaney. Now Mateta on the halfway line, challenged by Anderson, but Palace with some decent football work it wide towards the right again, and Mateta has been found by Munoz. Low crossing, looking for Devaney, who should have put the tie to bed there. 6 yards out, maybe took his eye off the ball and completely miskicked it.
I mean, aside from the set piece, I think that's the best passage of play from Palace in terms of the dynamism, the power, the movement. They looked that little step ahead. They looked like a Premier League side for 30 seconds there. It's a great ball across, and you're right, Devaney, there's no excuse for it. He has to put the ball in the back of the net.
We're watching a replay on the big screen in the corner here, and he just tried to maybe always casually shape the ball into the back of the net, sliding the ball across the goalkeeper, and it possibly bobbled up in front of him, but that's no excuse. It's not the best playing surface in the world, but if you're 6 yards out with the goalkeeper on the ground, you've got to put your foot through it.
Yeah, of course you have. I think you're right, maybe almost just a little bit too nonchalant and probably thinking about the goal and the celebration before actually putting the ball in the back of the net. There was just a lack of conviction to meeting the ball for me.
And it remains 1-0 to Palace. 4 minutes into the second half here on TalkSport 2. Sharman Lowe with a long goal kick downfield. I think Doncaster may be playing with the elements in their favour in the second half. Kamada though for Palace, driving forward down the centre again. He's got Munoz in space out to the right, but the high cross towards the far post. Chilwell was up there, cleared as far as Hughes. Chilwell will now gather, plays it back in field to Gahey, and Chilwell making his Palace debut on loan from Chelsea, looking to put all those hamstring injuries behind him now. And I think this sort of formation should really get the best out of him, because he's always been a fullback who just wants to get forward.
Yeah, exactly, and he's got wonderful quality as well on the ball, so can provide that quality into Mateta that he works so well with.
And now he plays it forward. He was fouled, I think, there by Sterry, but no, not according to the referee, who had a good look. Chilwell went down appearing to have been fouled, but the referee waved play on.
Yeah, I mean, the referee has got a better view than us, but for me that looked like all the world that it was a free kick.
Now Mateta found by an impudent flick from Kamada. Hughes back towards Kamada now, down the left-hand side. Hughes continues the run into the penalty area. Chilwell's low cross is cleared away by Bailey, the Doncaster captain. But now Gahey Finding Kamada again, infield to Hughes. There's an overload for Palace down the left, but Kamada finds Mateta inside the penalty area, who turns away from Anderson, drives it into the near post. But the challenge comes in from Aluwu at the last moment to take the sting out of the shot, and it bobbles into the arms of Sharman Lowe.
Well, it's absolutely brilliant from Aluwu. I thought this was 2-0 to Palace, and Mateta does ever so well. Looks like potentially he might take it on his left foot. Initially doesn't. That little chop inside. But he takes an extra touch. As soon as he chops inside, I think he can hit it. For some unknown reason, he wants to take an extra touch, and that just gives Aluwu the chance to come and block.
Now Molineux at the other end does well to pull a long ball down and plays it wide to Sterry on the right. Low in towards the edge of the penalty area, laid back to Molineux, who hits it well, and it took a deflection through the crowd, and eventually it is cleared away by Hughes, but that shot from Molineux was really travelling. Now on the far side, Senior tries to play it forward. It takes a deflection off Devaney, and it will be a throw into Doncaster. 6 minutes into the second half. Palace leading by a goal to nil, but Molineux there going close to an equaliser.
And I think if that doesn't get a block before it finds Matt Turner, the goalkeeper, I think that's causing him all sorts of problems. It was hit really well, and unfortunate. Palace getting their defensive shape right, the ability to make the block before it finds the goalkeeper.
Senior with a high cross into the penalty area. Chilwell at the far post is lost out. Sterry heads it down. The shot from Molineux has been blocked by Gahey. And now Sterry again. He's got support on the outside from Bailey on the right. But a good ball into the penalty area. Molineux onside. Pulls it back into the 6-yard box. And in the end, it's hacked away by Wharton. And Doncaster Rovers suddenly pouring forward.
Yeah, but they're going to be disappointed. Especially Gibson here. No one gambles. Molineux does ever so well. And the fact that nobody gambles on this ball, I don't know whether they think he's not going to reach it in time. But someone has got to be making that run just in case.
Well, just a check here on the ponytailed Jamie Sterry on the right-hand side. He maybe got a knock in that move, but he will now, I think, take the long throw on this near side. And once again, there is plenty of room around the playing surface here. This ground also used for rugby league as well, so there is room for the long throw, but Sterry in the end goes short to Molineux, who just about stays onside on the right. Back towards Sterry again. A low ball into the penalty area. Bailey turns and he snatches at the shot, drags it wide at the near post, and I think he had more time than that.
Yeah, he did. You can see he's itching to get his shot off quickly, but works quite well because everyone thinks Sterry's going for the long throw. They play it short, the ball in the box, and initially he turns really well, Bailey. And I think he may be almost surprised himself because the turn's that sharp. He's got more time than he thinks, but he snatches at the shot.
53 minutes played. Doncaster Rovers 0, Crystal Palace 1. Here on TalkSport 2 in the Emirates FA Cup fourth round as Turner tries to play the ball out to this near side. Straight over the head of Will Hughes, just in front of us, and it's a throw-in for Doncaster Rovers, which Sterry will take. Billy Sharp beginning to buzz around the penalty area as well, but now Sterry under pressure from Kamada goes all the way back towards Broadbent. There's a slip on the far side from Senior, but he manages to squeeze the ball forward. But now Wharton for Palace, finding Mateta. He flicks it through, but it's gathered again by Broadbent, and Aluwu can play it wide to this near side of Molineux. His first time ball in field, though, is cut out by Hughes. The early ball over the top, looking for Devaney. Devaney could be in here for Palace, clips it over the goalkeeper, and Martin Devaney has surely won this FA Cup tie for Crystal Palace. He missed a sitter earlier, but he made absolutely no mistake here, lobbing the ball high over Sharman Lowe, and Palace looks set for a South East London derby with Millwall in the FA Cup fifth round. 54 minutes played. Doncaster Rovers 0, Crystal Palace 2.
Oh, Grant McCann is waving his hands up and down, trying to get his team going again. It's because actually they've probably had their best passage of play, Doncaster Rovers. They'll be so disappointed. But this is a great ball, by the way, from Will Hughes. The way that he gets it out his feet, the weight of pass is immaculate to try and find Devaney, which it does. There's a little bit of a mix-up with the defending, doesn't get the right contact on it. But Devaney's still got a lot to do here, by the way. He's on the angle. He's got to beat the goalkeeper, get it up and over, but make sure it's down in time. And Sharman Lowe makes it difficult because he comes out nice and big, both arms aloft, but Devaney keeps his cool, and it's a really nice goal from the Palace youngster.
Do you think Sharman Lowe maybe was almost caught there because he started to come out, then he stopped, and once he's done that, he gave Devaney plenty of room in which to lob the ball behind him?
Yeah, there is that thought process as well, but I think it's a difficult one for the goalkeeper. Either way, I think it's just a very well worked opportunity from Palace.
Well, it's a corner kick on the far side. Munoz challenging Sharp, and Doncaster looking for the response here. 2 goals down, and that goal really coming against the run of play, but that's what can happen in the FA Cup when you're the lower division team. You've got to make the most of your opportunities. Doncaster had a couple there, and now Palace have picked them off, and they lead by 2-0. The corner in towards the near post, flicked on by Bailey. It's loose inside the 6-yard box, hammered clear, and in the end a volley over the top from Broadbent on the edge of the penalty area.
Yeah, it's difficult, and I've seen it this weekend. I did the Wigan-Fulham game rather. Also did Rovers yesterday against Wolves, and actually similar situations where the lower side team were having a passage of play, looked the better team, but then out of nowhere that little bit of quality shows, and it's a really tough one to take. It's a sucker punch.
Now Sterry on the halfway line for Doncaster. Olowu down the line, helped on by Molineux. Sharp will chase. Gahey goes back towards Turner, who then gives it back to Gahey by the corner flag. He's penned in by Molineux, but he's cleared only as far as Bailey now, and Doncaster have an opportunity, but Sterry is closed down by Chilwell, and it will be a throw-in for Doncaster Rovers. 57 minutes played. Palace leading here by 2-0. Munoz and Devaney with the goals, and that second one may have really knocked the stuffing out of Doncaster Rovers here.
They've had a really good start to the second half. So actually, I think both teams have definitely upped the energy, and I saw that in Palace. They upped the energy, but up until that point where they got the second goal, the end product was still a little bit lacking, whereas it looked really good. The movement's been more dynamic. They've been adventurous. Sterry's higher up the pitch for Doncaster Rovers, and they'll feel really hard done to.
Doncaster looking to build again, and for the 4th successive away game, Palace are leading 2-0, and of course they beat Leicester, West Ham and Manchester United by that scoreline in the Premier League. 19 of their 30 points have been won away from home this season. It's a complete role reversal for Crystal Palace over many, many years at the highest level.
It's interesting. I'm just seeing some movement down to left on the Palace bench, and I suppose that's a luxury they've got now with that 2-goal cushion, and sort of maybe where lessons are learned. You look at Liverpool yesterday and you think, can you start a stronger side and change that once you've got your noses in front? That's what Palace are doing now. They've got the luxury.
I'm not going to criticise Arne Slot, but I do often wonder why teams just don't pick a strong side, get the job done, and then make your changes. Yeah,
well, not even that. I think it was the lack of quality on the bench. Don't get me wrong, I think that side should have been good enough to beat Plymouth if they'd have played to their potential, but then the fact that I know Curtis Jones, I think he was ill, so he only really had Darwin Núñez, but the likes of Gravenberch, Gakpo, Salah, the list goes on, not even involved in the squad, and that's where I think maybe Arne Slot potentially got it wrong yesterday.
But they'll all be there at Goodison Park on Wednesday, live on Talk Sport. The Merseyside derby, the only place you can hear that game on Talk Sport. Jefferson Lerma will be coming on shortly. Hughes with a free kick for Palace, high into the area. Devaney tries to control, but it's Gibson who brings the ball away, and then cleared over the top again. And Joe Ironside is also coming on for Doncaster Rovers. He is a striker. As Sharp now has it after a smart interception from Bailey for Doncaster. Molineux on the right, drops his shoulder, comes in field beyond Hughes, on towards Sharp on the edge of the penalty area. Billy Sharp now with the opportunity, but he shoots into the arms of Turner.
Ben Chilwell's got his arm aloft looking at the assistant for offside. I don't think it was. It's a shame for Billy Sharp. Finds himself on the edge of the box. Probably the the best opportunity he's had. The other one was back to goal, more difficult, and he hits it well enough, but straight at the Crystal Palace shot stopper, Matt Turner.
Well, Jefferson Lerma will be coming on along with Romain Eze as one Colombian prepares to come on. Another closes down the goalkeeper, Daniel Munoz, but he's offside, so it will be a free kick. And the first player to make way is Adam Wharton, who of course is coming back from injury, but he's had a decent game, more than a decent game in the Palace midfield, but they're just looking to manage his minutes. And the scorer of the second goal, Justin Devenny, is also coming off as well.
And as you say, it's nice when they can do this now, Palace. They can get minutes into certain players. They're managing, as you say, the likes of Wharton. Esse's a great young prospect, isn't he, to bring on as well.
Romain Eze, of course, signed recently from Millwall. He could be facing them again in the fifth round. Joe Ironside will also replace Billy Sharp. So no goal for the 39-year-old here this evening. An Ironside who scored a famous FA Cup winner for Cambridge at Newcastle a few years ago. He will come on to lead the line now. And Billy Sharp has had one or two moments, but at times he's found it difficult to get in the game, as Ironside does now, and he's found Gibson. It's flicked wide to the far side. Maxwell comes in field. 12,739 the crowd here, with a couple of thousand from Palace, as Molineux flicks a shot in at the near post, which takes a deflection and it bobbles into the arms of Turner.
And now it's about Palace, isn't it, in terms of managing the game. You know, they've got the two goals, the superior quality, and it's theirs to lose now, really. I think it's been really difficult for Donny. That second goal really has took the confidence and the stuffing out of him.
Here is Mateta coming forward up towards the edge of the penalty area. It is quickly challenged, and in the end it's hammered away by Joseph Olowu on this near side, and it will be a throw-in for Palace. You're listening to Doncaster against Crystal Palace in the FA Cup on TalkSport 2 with Carling, the official beer partner of the Emirates FA Cup. 18 plus, please drink responsibly. And we're back in the Champions League over on TalkSport tomorrow night. Manchester City against Real Madrid as the knockout phase playoffs get underway. Two giants looking to make the round of 16. Exeter against Nottingham Forest. The final fourth round FA Cup tie will be here on TalkSport 2. Merseyside derby on TalkSport on Wednesday, as we said. Sheffield United against Middlesbrough will be here on the home of the EFL. Another big game at the top of the Championship. Then on Friday, a choice of listening. Brighton against Chelsea will be on TalkSport, here on TalkSport 2. Queen's Park Rangers against Derby. And Derby, it seems, could have John Eustace in charge by then. He has been given permission to talk to them by Blackburn, who say they are disappointed by his decision to ask to have talks. Chilwell now plays it over the top, and it's a good ball wide to the far side for the other wing-back, Munoz. And Palace now look very comfortable, leading 2-0 and playing so much more of the football.
Yeah, and I like that from Chilwell, the big switch of play, and not really done that too much, Palace, but now as Doncaster are sitting in a little bit more, there's just that opportunity to find the switch of play.
And it's over the top, looking for Kamada, and Sharman loaded well just to gather on the edge of the penalty area. But as he plays it out, it's quickly given away, and all Sterry can do under pressure is hammer the ball out of play into the crowd. And at the moment, Doncaster do look a beaten team. There's still 25 minutes or so to play, but it's a long way back, 2 goals down. They needed to score really straight after that second goal, didn't they?
Yeah, I think so. There's always that impetus to try and get back into it quickly, but you're right, they're sitting in more. Palace look more threatening and comfortable, and it looks like it's only going one way currently.
Munoz coming forward now, the early ball into the penalty area, but again there was no one there, and that's been a common theme for Palace at times, and if you're looking to be picky, and they're 2 goals up in a difficult game away from home, that they don't flood that penalty area at all, do they?
No, they don't. And it's the recognition for me of Mateta, and there's 2 ways to look at it. You've got to recognise when he drops in, and then someone's got to replace the space that he's left. Or, as the manager, you ask him, I don't want you to drop in as much as you're doing because I need you in between the sticks. So they're the questions that Palace have got to ask themselves.
Now Alowu coming forward on this near side, the right for Doncaster. Molineux, he's forced wide, and all he can do in the end under pressure from Kamada and Chilwell is scoop the ball straight out of play, and it will be a throw-in for Crystal Palace. They're at home to Everton next. Only the bottom 2 have fewer home wins in the Premier League, so that's something that Oliver Glasner will be keen to address as quickly as possible. But the Palace head coach stood there in his dark coat and white trainers, looking pretty satisfied with the way things are going at the moment. Grant McCann, arms thrust deep into pockets, knows his team need a break very quickly in this game. Gibson under pressure again, and he's got the free kick. There's a dismissive hand thrown up by Jefferson Lerma as the contact was made, but it's a free kick for Doncaster, and they will try and pack the penalty area here.
Yeah, initially they looked like they were going to try and take it quickly, which I thought would be a bad idea, and yeah, they've thought better of it, and knowing that getting the ball in the box, trying it, the set piece is going to be a better opportunity.
67 minutes played, 2-0, Crystal Palace lead here. Molineux with the free kick, high towards that far post. Richards rising to head the ball away, but they rather make heavy weather of that for a moment, Palace. But now they clear, and they'll try and break with Eze, and it's a good recovery challenge by Broadbent. Patrick Kelly will be coming on shortly for Doncaster, a midfielder who was left out for this game after starting that 5-2 loss against Chesterfield. Doncaster are at home to Grimsby at the weekend, and if it stays like this, they'll be turning their attentions to promotion. But here is Gibson now with the cross in, which takes a deflection. Turner tries to gather before it goes behind. There was no doubt his feet were in play, but were his arms? According to the assistant, they were, so he will continue.
Yeah, and to be fair to the assistant, I was watching it, he moves quickly and he is in line with it, so no excuses, he should get that right.
Played forward down the line by Richards, and then infield towards Eze. Held up by Mateta, who's having his shirt pulled almost off his back by Anderson, but play continues because Mateta finds Hughes, and now Kamada on this near side. Mateta makes the run into the penalty area, then has to check to stay onside. Here is Gahey. Lerma in field, and now Lerma does gather the ball, and he can pirouette on the ball under no real pressure and play it wide towards Richards on the far side. And Palace here have every single outfield player inside the Doncaster half, and they are passing the ball around, working the lower league opponents. Eze slip forward now to Chilwell. Lerma, and pretty soon we'll be getting the olays from the Palace supporters. If they weren't so cold, would have had them already.
Yeah, exactly. It's interesting though, Chilwell there, he's actually up with Mateta. He's come really, really narrow, and was almost playing like a second centre forward in that passage of play.
Well, they continue to knock the ball around here, and the player's only been broken up by a foul. Bailey catching Jefferson Lerma, and there's an opportunity now for Palace to try and build again. Patrick Kelly though will be coming on first for Doncaster, on loan from West Ham United, and he will replace George Broadbent, who came into the side tonight. He was part of Boreham Wood's run to the 5th round 4 years ago, but it won't be happening for him this season, it seems, with Crystal Palace leading here by 2-0. Munoz in the first half and Devaney in the second. And at the moment, Doncaster are finding it difficult to lay a glove on Crystal Palace significantly, although Richards has slammed the ball straight out of play on the far side, that it will be a throw-in. But Doncaster not really building up a head of steam, are they, Courtney?
No, they're struggling to find any kind of momentum, aren't they? And that's credit to Palace as well. I think they're managing the game extremely well, keeping the ball for long passages of play and just making it really difficult for Doncaster to find any headway into the final third.
There's a big switch for them now from left to right, and it's gathered by Sterry just in front of us. The ball forward now, looking for Bailey, who tries to help the ball on to Ironside, but here is Kamada with a reverse ball to find Chilwell, and Chilwell has got there before Sterry. Mateta makes the run ahead of him, but it's further wide towards Munoz, who was herring into the penalty area, but he was almost too quick for the ball there, and Doncaster will clear.
Yeah, it's a good find as well by Chilwell crossfield ball, but to say Munoz is almost running too quickly for his own good, and then the touch lets him down, just bounces off his foot.
But Palace here playing some very smart football at times. I'm sure Mateta, with 6 goals in 5 games, will be keen to add to his tally here, but he's led the line so well, and he could be in here, but it's cut out by Anderson, and had he not got there, Mateta would have been away. Anderson's through ball, though, goes all the way through towards Matt Turner.
Yeah, you're right, though. He has led the line really well, and unfortunately he's probably not got the goal yet that his performance deserves, and it's just his teammates, I don't want to say letting him down, but just as the moments where the quality into him hasn't quite been what his movement and tenacity has deserved.
Ironside wide towards Maxwell. Maxwell, the victim of an untidy challenge on the far side from Eze. It will be a free kick, and this will be another time for Doncaster to get everybody forward and try and create some sort of pressure here, with 18 minutes to play on TalkSport 2. 2-0 the Palace lead, and if it's going to happen for Doncaster, it needs to happen pretty soon. But it's a free kick. Molineux is over it. Anderson is forward. Alowu is forward. Ironside is also a big rangy striker who could look to attack this. And Molineux will curl this ball in left-footed, so it will be an outswinger effectively. Anderson makes the run. Molineux, though, hits it woefully straight out of play, and that's a real waste.
There's a collective groan and head shake around the stadium. As you said, Nigel, that the fans knew that was a big moment. Need to get a goal back sooner rather than later, and to not even be competing for that because the ball is so poor is such a letdown.
Well, 1 or 2 Doncaster fans are heading out already here. They've seen enough. It's a bitterly cold evening. School night, of course, as well. And at the moment, Palace are doing a very professional job here. That's been the word. It's not been flash. There's no frills, but it looks like they're going through.
Yeah, you're right. It's been efficient. They've got the goals. They've got the noses in front. They're now managing the game. They're not really busting the gut to try and get forward and find the third. They don't need to. They're protecting themselves. But yeah, there's nothing wrong with that.
Kelly on this near side. Infield towards Sterry. A reminder of the draw again for the 5th round, which took place earlier on this evening. Preston will play Burnley. So 2 founder members of the Football League in close proximity there. As it's played forward again for Doncaster on the edge of the penalty area. Now Molineux has it. He can cut infield. Hits it left-footed just over the top. And that wasn't too far away once again from Luke Molineux.
Well, he's such a wonderful technician. Adrian asked me at half-time, what did Doncaster do to get back into this game? And I said, you've got to give the ball to Luke Molineux. He's the player that can produce that little bit of magic, and he nearly did there. He was so close, but the ball didn't dip quite quick enough to find that top left-hand corner, but it was close.
Elsewhere in the draw, Aston Villa at home to Cardiff City. Newcastle will play Brighton. Manchester United at home to Fulham. Bournemouth will play Wolves. At the moment, Crystal Palace are heading through to a home tie with Millwall. Manchester City will meet Plymouth, and Exeter or Forest, who meet live on TalkSport 2 tomorrow night. The winners of that tie will be at home to Ipswich. So at least 1, 2, 3, possibly 4 Premier League teams will be going out, because there could be all Premier League ties in the 5th round. And the quarter-final draw already looks very interesting due to the way these teams have been spread.
And that's what you want in the FA Cup. You want the drama, you want the underdogs, teams from the EFL to potentially get to Wembley.
Now Maxwell wins it for Doncaster. It loops high towards the corner flag on the far side. It's kept in play by Gibson, under pressure from Richards. Maxwell will try and deliver a cross in, but in the end he loses out. Eze plays it in field, and it's Lacroix with a high ball forward. It's difficult to judge in the wind there for Anderson. He's lost out. Now it's forward towards Mateta, but Alowo, not for the first time, helps out Anderson. It's back to Sharman Lowe, and he clears long downfield.
Yeah, they've worked that really well between themselves, Anderson and Alowo, in all credit. When Anderson's got tight, Alowu's dropped off and swept the bits up just in case Mateta's got free.
Chilwell on this near side, now finding Mateta again. Lerma, Gahey, and Palace beginning to play the ball around with real comfort and economy once again. And Doncaster are having to chase shadows, and I'm sure this is what Grant McCann feared, that a team of greater technical quality are now beginning to make that really pay, as the long ball was played forward, and once again the furthest player forward was Ben Chilwell, but he was just bumped off it by Sterry, and it's gathered by Sharman Lowe. Yeah,
he's definitely playing in a different way, though, Tyrek Mitchell. I don't know whether that's just him and the way that he feels he wants to play the role, or maybe it's a direction from the manager, but definitely coming in a lot more narrow than Tyrek Mitchell was in the first half.
And potentially he's leaving Luke Molineux, who could be Doncaster's most effective player.
Yeah, it's a dangerous game to play, but the balance so far has worked. But you see Sterry's out there as well, so just doubling up on Chilwell and giving him something to think about.
He's just looking around, Chilwell, to be aware of where Sterry is, and Gahey is also pulling wide to this near side to help him out. Gahey's also been playing almost as a left fullback, almost a winger at times as well, as Doncaster try and build now with Molineux, and Sterry is the overlap on the right here. Molineux continues his run, but he's got 2, 3 for company, needs some support, and in the end plays it off Kamada, and it will be a throw-in for Doncaster, taken quickly by Molineux, back towards Bailey, all the way back to the halfway line, and Anderson. And Senior plays it forward now. Maxwell cutting in field from the left-hand side in towards Ironside. Ironside, though, holding the ball up and has to go all the way back to the halfway line. But Doncaster are at least maintaining possession inside the Palace half here. But in the end, it takes a touch off Lerma out of play, and it will be a throw-in. And there's going to be another change made here by Doncaster. Tom Nixon will be coming on. And he's a midfielder who has not played since the end of November, but he will be getting an opportunity here against a Premier League team with 12 minutes to play, but Palace leading by 2-0 as Ironside looks to try and win at least a corner on this near side. But Molineux has managed to dig the ball out. The final touch was off Chilwell, and it will be a long throw potentially here for Sterry, but not before the change is made for Doncaster. And you can see that they're trying so much, but the ball's never quite falling for them, and it won't be a long throw for the Sterry because he's been taken off and Nixon comes on.
No, and you almost feel it's going to take a moment from someone. I think for me, most likely it's going to be Molineux. I think it's going to be a moment of brilliance for Doncaster to be able to get back in this game, but so far Palace have stuck steadfast. They've defended well, they've got their goals, and now they're just trying to manage the game.
So throwing on this near side, which Nixon will take as we close in on the final 10 minutes here on TalkSport 2. Palace leading by 2-0. And here is Mateta midway inside their own half, under pressure from Alowo. Molineux now can look to try and open things out. Here is Senior, wide to Maxwell on the far side. Maxwell with the ball in behind. And Munoz has some work to do here, and Senior's done well to play the ball off the Colombian, and it will be a corner kick, and the delivery here has to be right as the rain begins to sweep down once again here at the Eco Power Stadium on the outskirts of Doncaster. And it's going to be an outswinger for Molineux. And we welcome listeners from TalkSport with 10 minutes to play here at the Eco Power Stadium. Doncaster 2 goals down, but they have a corner kick here in towards Ironside, headed away by Mateta. Back out towards Molineux, who has gone beyond Kamada. The cross high into the penalty area towards the far post. It's kept alive by Bailey. His shot is blocked. Back towards Bailey again, who shoots it low. And in the end, it's gathered well by Turner right on the line.
Yeah, and he does really well, actually, because it's like pinball in there for a moment. It's chaotic. And that comes through a lot of bodies. Matt Turner sees that late, but he gets down quickly out to his right-hand side and does well to collect it. And you see he's just trying to calm it down for a minute to manage these moments for Palace.
And Courtney, just give us an overview of the game for the benefit of our newer listeners.
Yeah, look, I think what I would say, it's been a professional and efficient performance from Palace. They've not necessarily dug up any trees, but there's been a couple of moments. I think the second goal especially, Will Hughes, it's a lovely ball over the top for Devaney, who lobs the goalkeeper, and the first goal as well, really well worked set piece. It was on the left hand side of the box. It's like they're going to shoot, but gets played into Mateta, into the bodies. He turns and takes the shot on it. It comes off the post, but it's Munoz in it that's following it in and does really well just to tap it into an empty net. So I think it's unlike a lot of the games we've seen this round of the FA Cup. It's probably followed the script, and Doncaster have had their chances, but just lacks that little bit of quality compared to the Premier League opposition of Crystal Palace.
8 minutes to play, commentary continuing on TalkSport 2. It is Doncaster Rovers 0, Crystal Palace 2. At the moment, Palace heading through for a London derby against Millwall in round 5. There's Gahey, hammers the ball away on this near side, and a gentleman just in front of us in a Peaky Blinders cap heads the ball back into play and gets the general indifference of all those around him.
He enjoyed himself at least.
Yeah, I think he's still trying to get his head out of his shoulder blades now. People don't realise how hard these balls are, do they, until they actually head them.
He headed it like on the top of his head as well, so he'll have a bit of a headache.
Now Senior, wide to the far side, in towards Ironside. Ironside again with his back to goal, having to hold off 2 Palace players, and the combination of Richards and Eze bring him down, and it will be a free kick with 7 minutes to play. Palace leading 2-0. And they have done well here to snuff out the prospect of any real shock at the moment. Nixon heading the ball on, because so much of what Doncaster have done inside their own half has been under pressure, and that's credit to Palace, because they've not stood off at all.
Yeah, they've not for 1 point come here, I don't think, with any complacency. Look, there was a lack of cutting edge in the final third in the first half, don't get me wrong, but I don't think that was complacency. That was just it not working. So they've been very professional and not taken this game lightly, and I've got a lot of time for that in terms of Palace and the management, the way they've approached the game.
Well, Senior convinced he should have a throw-in on this near side, but Romain Eze, who went down and picks himself up with a big muddy smear down his right arm, will win the throw-in for Crystal Palace. Ben Chilwell will take it, and he's stolen about 6 yards, but I think Grant McCann knows the game is up, so I don't think he can really be bothered complaining about it.
Yeah, and why the fans don't like it is he's consistently done that since he's been on the pitch.
Eze now coming forward up towards the edge of the penalty area, jinks his way through, tries to find Mateta, who I think may have been offside, but the ball never finds him, and Doncaster will clear. Hughes with the header forward, but Bailey will nod it into the path of Maxwell, who can bring it forward now for Doncaster down the left. The early cross in, looking for Ironside, headed away by Chilwell and then boomed over the top by Lerma. Anderson with a big up and under towards his own goal. It then catches in the wind. Both he and Mateta are beaten by the bounce of the ball. It's all very scrappy. Palace player has gone down, clutching their head, and although Doncaster were looking to attack, player's been stopped by Farai Halam for treatment. I think it might be Romain Eze who's gone down.
Jack Senior's lucky there, you know. I think he goes with an elbow. He's very, very lucky that the referee doesn't see that another way. And now there's an argument that you have to use your arms for leverage, but I think he might be a lucky boy to get away with that one.
Well, there's prolonged treatment for Eze, who has remained down. Chilwell and Gahey have come across to this near side to take on some fluids, as more and more Doncaster fans begin to make their way out into what is a very cold South Yorkshire night. There was 12,700 here at kick-off time. I would think there's well under 10,000 inside the stadium now. Don't forget, tomorrow night, Manchester City against Real Madrid on TalkSport. Here on TalkSport 2, Exeter against Nottingham Forest. Then Wednesday, the final Merseyside derby at Goodison Park, exclusive to national radio on TalkSport. Sheffield United against Middlesbrough will be here on TalkSport 2. And then on Friday, Brighton against Chelsea on TalkSport. Queen's Park Rangers against Derby here on TalkSport 2. And I mentioned John Eustace earlier on, Courtney. You were at Ewood Park yesterday watching Blackburn lose to Wolves in the FA Cup, and very quickly it seems John Eustace will be heading to Derby County.
Yeah, and Adam Bridge did the interview afterwards. I was actually listening to it on the way home. I'm very surprised with his sort of reaction to the question, and normally a manager completely shuts that down, but left it a little bit open, and yeah, looks like that move is on. And yeah, it's an interesting one. Obviously Derby at the foot of the table and where Blackburn are, but I think Derby, there's not that much in it at the bottom of the table. It'll be close, and obviously there's an issue with the hierarchy there with Eustace and Blackburn.
Well, there wasn't a huge amount of activity during the transfer window, or maybe not the players that he was looking for. And I was there last Friday for the game against Preston, and I mean, Blackburn will claim they're a big club, they're former Premier League champions, but in terms of maybe potential in the short term, Derby County are a bigger club, although they are struggling at the moment. And you know, Blackburn get around 13,000-14,000 fans for a home game. Derby could maybe look to closer to 25,000-30,000, and maybe that's in his thinking. And also, he's based in the Midlands, and that's where Derby are.
Yeah, exactly. And it doesn't always seem like a massive thing to, especially for managers, but they're human like everyone else, so to be closer to home. And as I mentioned, it's very, very close at the bottom of the table as well, so a couple of wins for Derby, and that changes the complexion.
2 minutes to play. Mateta on the chase down the centre now. Sharman Lowe with the clearance. He's given it straight towards Eze, who shoots towards goal, but he was under pressure as he hit it. Alowu was back behind his goalkeeper, and he was able to cut the ball off before it got close to the goal. Yeah,
he nearly gets caught, Sharman Lowe, because he comes outside of his box, so can only use his feet. The ball falls to Eze, and it's a difficult one to try and hit first time. Tries to round a couple of players, but too many bodies between the ball and the goal.
And there's going to be a final change for Crystal Palace. And one of their youngsters, Caleb Forhat, will be coming on. 18 years of age. England under 17 international. Usually plays as a right back, so it will be a right wing back, and it's Munoz who is going off. And he has had 2 appearances from the bench in the Premier League. And Kafora will be coming on for the closing seconds here in the FA Cup. Munoz scored the opening goal, which just settled things down for Crystal Palace, put them in control, and that's a control they have never relinquished. The second goal from Devaney making things absolutely short. And now Kafora with a touch forward to find Eze, and now Mateta could be in down the centre. It's left towards Kafora, and the teenager was almost in with his first touch, but it's blocked by Sharman Lowe.
Yeah, and it's a shame. His first touch lets him down, doesn't it? But love that from Mateta, unselfish. The awareness as well. It's a little flick in behind him to try and find his teammate. Could have been a goal with his first touch, but not to be. Great touch by Grant McCann, by the way.
He pulled that one out of the sky. Of course, he was a former Northern Ireland international. And now Mateta on the move again, but Alowu has had an excellent game at the back for Doncaster. and there'll be a minimum of 4 more minutes here. And Crystal Palace, despite a clear handball there for Jefferson Lerma, not seen by the referee, and I can't believe he didn't see it.
And there was one earlier in the game as well.
Oh, Ennis in the first half for Doncaster
he didn't
player.
see, so maybe it's evened itself out.
But Lerma literally had hold of the ball there and was counting the stitches in it. Molyneux's want to throw in on this near side, but in the final analysis I don't think it's really going to matter. And now Lerma finding Lacroix, but it's one back, and now there's an opportunity for Kelly to hit one, and he breaks for Gibson, who was off balance as he hit it, and it spins away from him into the arms of Turner.
And it's such a shame because actually he brings it under control really well. He's stretching, bobbling into him, but I think his maybe first touch almost surprised him, and by the time he takes the shot on, he can't get the power in behind it. He doesn't sort of make that movement from the first touch to the second one quick enough.
Clearing downfield once again, Matt Turner. And it's all a bit scrappy on the far side, and in the end it's Eze who comes forward. He's been fouled, and it will be a free kick for Crystal Palace as they look to see this game out with 2.5 minutes of added time to play. And Matthias Franke will be coming on now, and it's Kamada who comes off. So it's been a good night for Oliver Glasner because he's given plenty of people an opportunity, and the bottom line is his team have gone through very comfortably.
Yeah, gone through, come through it unscathed as well. No injuries, and as you say, getting minutes to those that maybe haven't had too many this season. So it couldn't really have gone any better, I don't think, for Oliver Glasner.
Free kick which Richards will take in towards Hughes, and then Franke closes him down. And now Eze for Palace on the far side. It'll be a big day for him when Millwall come to Selhurst Park. It'll be a big day for everybody in South London. That's a local derby which has not been played for some time, particularly not at Selhurst. There's the flag has gone up for offside against Doncaster, although Palace did have control of the ball. Lacroix was heading over the halfway line. But if we're looking through the draw at the moment, as we say, for teams like Villa, Newcastle, Brighton, of course we can't rule out the two Manchester clubs, both at home in the 5th round. If they go through, they'll be keen to remain apart in the quarter-final draw. But it's going to be an interesting FA Cup, you feel, this year. I mean, often we end up with the usual suspects in the final, but maybe not. Yeah,
maybe not. I think you speak about the Manchester clubs, both of them in very different situations. Obviously Manchester United in a bit of disarray, Man City not up to their usual level, and you've got teams like Villa who are doing fantastically well, top 8 of the Champions League. There's so much to play for.
Franke plays it wide to the far side, the cross in towards Mateta, and it almost falls for Chilwell at the far post, but in the end he is crowded out. I should say as well, of course, Plymouth and Fulham will have a good deal about the progress of Manchester clubs as Franke brings it into the penalty area. He overruns it and has gone behind for a goal kick.
Well, and I know it's still to play, but if Forest are to get through as well, what a season they're having, by the way. So you wouldn't maybe put it past them giving it a right good go. Everything seems to be going their way at the moment.
Absolutely, there are plenty of possibilities, and of course you can follow the FA Cup 5th round across the TalkSport network. It's the last few days in February and the first couple of days in March. That's what's been penciled in. The Saturday is March the 1st, but I would imagine there'll be games on the Friday and possibly the Thursday. But Crystal Palace are into the FA Cup 5th round. Applause from the home supporters for the efforts put in by Doncaster Rovers, but they were outclassed for long spells in this game, and it's an intriguing prospect for Crystal Palace in the FA Cup 5th round with Millwall coming to Selhurst Park. It is finished. Doncaster Rovers 0, Crystal Palace 2.